The tiny house movement is a popular way to refer to the architectural and social movement that advocates for living in little houses simply. In my opinion, to practice the tiny house movement is a bed of roses. This movement is a phenomenon that started in the United States. To know more about this phenomenon, you need to catch up with news and to get along with someone who practices this movement. This movement can't be stressful, so you won't have a lot on your plate. These are some advantages of the tiny house movement. I recommend you move into a tiny house because it is great if you like to be alone. Living in a tiny house is really cheap, so you won't pay up a lot. Tiny houses are eco-friendly, so it won't cost you an arm and a leg. If it is not possible to live in the city, just give up. You can live in a tiny house. If you live in a tiny house, you are surrounded by nature, so you don't have to dress up. And if you miss your home, a friend can cheer you up. If you meet a new friend while you live in a tiny house, you can study under. These houses are encouraged, so people can't break into your house. There are many places to visit in nature, so you can stop by many places. Disadvantages of the tiny house movement. In these houses there isn't Wi-Fi, so you will probably be bored. These houses are really small, and it can be a problem sometimes. Therefore, if you like to live in big houses and you are planning to buy a tiny house, it's a good idea to put off your plan. Now, I would like to share with you my opinion about this topic. Personally, I would like to live in a tiny house, and I think if I lived in a tiny house, I would carry out a new thing in my life, and it is good. If I live in a tiny house, I would throw away many things, like clothes that I don't wear. To live in a tiny house is excellent, but I cannot forget the big picture. I'm sure I will chill out. My friend lives in a tiny house, but it is a secret. Don't spill the beans, please. When I live in a tiny house, I will give away some clothes. Furniture and appliances are really small in the tiny house, so it is difficult to cook well. To live in a tiny house would be a piece of cake for me. Do you see A to A with my opinion?